ABC Women would like to thank BIPOC Executive Search for sponsoring today's episode.
The BIPOC Executive Search app is here for you. Get information about job opportunities we're recruiting for. Keep up to date and in the know about career news tailored to Indigenous, Black, and other racialized audiences. Gain helpful tips and learnings to help you on your career trajectory, celebrate job appointments, and more. The BIPOC Executive Search app, here to elevate the candidate experience for Black, Indigenous, and communities of color. Free to download and available on iPhone and Android smartphones.
Look how far you have come on your own, but never alone. Through the rain and through the shine, here's your moment, it's your time. You stood tall and now you see, standing in your destiny. 100 woman growing strong. 100 woman where you belong. You stood tall and now you see, you have reached your destiny, woman.
100 ABC Women would like to take this opportunity to welcome our viewers and listening audience, families, friends, and our sponsors to our inspirational conversations, fireside chats with 100 ABC honorees. 100 Accomplished Black Canadian Women is a bold initiative created by the co-authors, the Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, a former MP, Donna Jones-Simmons, a corporate diversity executive, and Dr. Denise O'Neill-Green, Vice President, Equity and Community Inclusion at Ryerson University. Our mission is to celebrate and archive the professional accomplishments of trailblazing Black women from all across Canada. The goal is to create an ever-expanding database available for current and future generations via print media, public and private libraries, as well as a website, which is www.100abcwomen.ca. We are pleased to bring you a series of fireside chats which include conversations around education, healthcare, entertainment, creative arts, legal, technology, entrepreneurship, diversity and equity, media, engineering, politics, sports, and so much more. These, we know, are topics that matter to us and to you. These educational and inspirational conversations will be made available to all current and future generations via our 100 ABC YouTube channel. This is a great way to learn from our elders, brilliant-minded and accomplished Black Canadian women. So join me as I welcome our moderator, Camille Mitchell. Camille is a highly accomplished architect. She brings several years of experience on award-winning projects, garnering recognition for this work through her speaking engagements, mentoring, and teaching opportunities. Over to you, Camille.
Thank you, Donna, for this introduction. So today I'm honored to be here, and it's all about engineering as a theme. But as Donna mentioned, I'm going to confess I'm not an engineer. I've worked with a lot of engineers. I've actually graduated at Waterloo as part of the faculty of engineering, but I never got the nice ring on my pinky finger. So this is an opportunity to turn it over to some fabulous engineers I'm going to turn it over to Montreal first. Isabelle, can you tell us about yourself?
Hi, Camille. I don't have the ring either.
Okay.
I don't have the ring, so don't feel bad.
Okay.
So, I'm an entrepreneur. First of all, I'm happy to be here today and having this conversation with you guys, with such amazing women. I'm an entrepreneur, tech and tech and clean tech professional. I'm also a committed citizen and advocate for people empowerment. And I also have the privilege to be one of the 2020 honorees. I graduated in electrical engineering from Polytechnique Montreal here in Quebec more than 10 years ago. And then I went back a few years later to complete a master in metallurgical engineering. I worked at the beginning of my career as a wind and solar project developer. And then I did a lot of big data analysis. And now I'm a founder of a tech company.
Thank you. Oh, sorry, if you have more.
Yes, I just wanted to comment on why I'm so happy to be here today. Like electrical, metallurgical, tech industries are mainly white, male dominated.
Yes.
So I really hope that by having this talk today, we can inspire the next generation to just do it. Like engineering is not only one thing, it's a lot of things. There are more than 40 types of engineering, and there must be one type that matches your interest. And there's room for you. Do not hesitate to just take your place.
Thanks, Isabelle. I like how you added that because it's good to introduce the next generation, because engineering, it surrounds us and everything we do, it's involved. So I encourage people to get involved with what surrounds us, what's a part of us. So we're going to Sudbury. Theresa, introduce yourself, please.
Hello. Thank you very much, Camille and Isabelle. Very happy to meet you virtually. I'm absolutely honored to be recognized in this way and to be part of such distinguished alumni. And yes, I'm a mining engineer who is based in Sudbury, Ontario. I am actually an immigrant. I came from Zimbabwe and I live and work in Sudbury. I've been here for 30 years, if you can want to date me there. I'm a mother of 2 children, a teenage boy and a girl who's so 16 and 14-year-old. And it's really lovely to see the next generation coming up and to have that reminder that we owe them so much in terms of putting opportunities in front of them. So if I was to say just in a nutshell about myself, I'm a dedicated mining engineer, but I am committed to diversifying that industry. So we see many, many faces that adequately represent the population of Canada. And I do that in so many different ways. One of the channels is I wrote a children's book about a little girl who goes underground mining for the day, which has really encouraged lots of communication on this topic. So I'm sure we'll talk more, but I'm a university grad from Laurentian University and very happy to be here.
Thank you, Theresa. And I look forward to talking more about the book and also how that's shaping the next generation. So I'm going to bring you both back. Before we talk about the next generation, we'll talk about yourselves first. When you're younger, why engineering? Start with Theresa.
I chose engineering because I found it extremely interesting after the fact. It's more about why did I stay in engineering? Initially, I thought I was going to be a medical doctor. I excelled in maths and sciences. As a young immigrant, I really didn't seek mentorship. So it was just kind of like, whatever I'm good at, that's what I'm going to be. And as a good immigrant child, I learned all about being a doctor as the key accomplishment that I could have. And so therefore, that's kind of how I found myself in university, accelerated my way through high school, graduated a year early without a real vision. Ended up in sciences. And then when I did my first year of biology, I found it absolutely ridiculously disgusting and useless for me. I wanted to leave medical stuff for people that were passionate. I had the misfortune or fortune of having a friend who was so brilliant in biology that reinforced to me that, Theresa, you're not passionate, get out of there. And I did. And here we are today. actually. And I ended up just being inspired by a bunch of women engineers who came and spoke to us about engineering. And I ended up staying and being inspired. So why mining engineering? For me, it's because I was inspired that the career is more than just extracting minerals out of the ground. We build communities. We are, we create commodity. Through our commodities, we create materials that can be used to really better the lives of people. Yeah.
And Isabelle, how has STEM and getting involved in the science, the technologies, engineering, and math at an early age shaped your career as well?
My story is kind of similar to Theresa. Like when I first got into engineering, I didn't really know what I was signing for. I was good at math and science, and I was just like, okay, it sounds cool. I'm going to do that. And the reason why I stayed in engineering, the first reason is because I found out that I loved solving problems, creating things, and having an impact. That was amazing for me. Like as an engineer, I had the chance to develop wind and solar projects and contribute to a more sustainable world. I also got to work on new materials for solar energy. And now I help companies improve their productivity by using technology. So it's kind of fulfilling. I found it fulfilling. That's the first reason why I stayed in engineering. And the second reason is that it provided me with a strong skill set that I can leverage in other fields. Like when logical thinking, problem solving again came very useful when I was a board member and I needed to do strategic planning, or even as an entrepreneur to do business decisions. So engineering for me is really a way to do a lot of things.
I'm going to quote you, Theresa. You said earlier that you were the good immigrant child. And I know yourself, Isabelle, too. You immigrated, I believe, at 17 from Cameroon to Montreal, and Theresa at 12 from Zimbabwe. How do you believe, if you guys can recall, obviously you're speaking about your own individual experiences and can't speak on behalf of any other larger groups, but having that experience of growing up in Africa and then coming to Canada, how did that shape your experience as a child, even your parents' encouragement, or do you think your parents' influence of what they experienced in their education in a different country, what they wanted your outcome as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for me, one of the big things that I got out of being born and raised in Zimbabwe was just a strong academic focus and a strong pursuit of excellence. I often say that it was one of my grandmothers who I remember sitting in a living room in a little neighborhood in Zimbabwe and her saying to me, Theresa, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then just me pausing and not really knowing what to say. And she goes, I want you to be either a journalist or a judge. And just the fact that here was this older woman who was already speaking the future into me, as in, you better do something great and impactful, and which, a journalist or a judge would certainly have done. Those kind of conversations really, I think, shaped my life. And then also I reflect that in Zimbabwe, we celebrated accomplishments extremely. So my cousins who would graduate from university, it was always a huge party, huge parties. And the graduates would come from the university ceremony, which we wouldn't attend, but I think it was just limited people went. And there would be parties at the house, and they would come in their gowns. And then the other cool thing that used to happen in Zimbabwe is that other relatives that were graduates for that event would also show up in their gowns. So as little children, we were constantly reminded that, hey, A, you're going to graduate, and then B, you're going to continuously be celebrated as you celebrate others who are coming after you. So I found that extremely reinforcing. And also school was extremely competitive in the sense that you knew that there was an objective to reach. You weren't just kind of going to school and, relaxing. It was about, what number did you come? 1, 2, 3, or numbers that shall not be named. So there was a sense of competition, a sense of pride.
A healthy competition, a healthy
Absolutely.
one. Yes.
And I mean, I think competition is sometimes people it's like saying the word retaliation. Retaliation
Yes.
can be a good word, right?
Yes.
I can retaliate against the 100 ABC Women Foundation in a very positive way by spreading the news about their social media because I'm happy with them. So the same way competition was very positive and very encouraging and uplifting. But yeah, so definitely Zimbabwe. And parents, as far as the parents are completely reinforced through their celebrating of accomplishments and rewarding lots of hard work. So that was just always very clear that you need to persevere, whatever your capacity is. Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine these parties happening over Zoom right now, and
Oh gosh.
the celebrations that are taking place. What about yourself, Isabelle?
Hearing Theresa speak, I feel like Cameroon is like Zimbabwe. It's like so similar. The only thing I want to add maybe is that school was so important for my parents, like for everyone over there, that they'll create space for you to study. Like whatever you need, whatever, like they'll just make sure it happens so that you have the best conditions, absolutely the best conditions to learn and do your best and do anything to be either a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer. Journalist, not that much, doctor, engineer, lawyer. So yeah, there was that culture of just giving all you can to reach your goals. And that helped me a lot. That shaped a lot the way I approached engineering.
Have either of you faced any barriers regarding gender, even when you were expressed interest into going into mining, whether it came from family, from education, or even your peers once you got into school, and also the workplace?
As far as barriers and I think entry, for me, entry was never really a question. I don't recall anyone having any sort of conversation about don't go in. My oldest brother is a geophysicist, and my other brother is a mining engineer. And I happen to marry a mining engineer. So there's a lot of people that feel like they have some credit for me switching into engineering. But I can tell you that gender never factored into any conversation about what or why I was doing anything. I think there was a level of naivety in myself, being naive to my surroundings and to the demography of my surroundings and the impact of gender and in my experiences. And I think that stayed that way for many, many years. But certainly now in hindsight, I can say that as much as I might not have at the time recognized something as a barrier or as a bias against me, now that I'm a little bit older and I can reflect on some of the experiences, it does make me pause for question because, like right now there's a huge focus in society for people to kind of like reflect, read up, understand who you are, how you fit in, and be more self-aware about the biases that we bring into our home life, our work life. And I think certainly I experienced some bias against myself, but I was just too naive to even understand that could have been a factor in my interaction with people. 9 out of 10 times, I would really honestly put unfair circumstance to, that person doesn't like me. Maybe they just, it's my personality, who I am, how I show up that bothers them. So yeah, it's been pretty hard to pinpoint, but in reflection, I can see some instances where probably there was some bias that was happening.
And for me, difficult to see if there were barriers because I feel privileged. We were so few women in every workplace or classroom I was in that all the people always make sure we had everything we need. Like we were 20 students, we were 2 ladies in my engineering school. So they'll just make sure we were well, happy and fine. And it was the same at my workplaces where I had to work. The barrier I found is not really related to engineering. It's more related to like the glass ceiling.
Yes.
Like the higher you want to get, the harder it becomes. But I'm pretty sure it's the same everywhere, like even in architecture, right?
Yes. Absolutely. And with that, and when you mention barriers in this glass ceiling, and there's all these efforts to shatter the glass ceiling, and then people find there's another glass ceiling on top of that. So you guys are both entrepreneurs in your own realms, and started different adventures and careers, and especially to promote diversity within your profession. So I guess to speak on was starting your own paths and careers a response to advancement in these? Because I guess that's what the glass ceiling is, in response to advancement and retention within these disciplines, or is it an outlet for you to for outreach for yourselves? Isabelle?
For me, it was a motivation to do more of what I like. That's right, because I feel like if a door is closed somewhere, you owe to yourself to try to open other doors elsewhere, right? And that's why at the beginning, I did a lot of volunteer work just to get to know other organizations, other way of doing things. And I was involved on a lot of boards just for me to try to open other doors. And that was really useful for me when I became an entrepreneur, because I had like a support network I could count on for my business.
Yeah, so for myself, I am not a business owner per se. In terms of, I work for a mining company, and I absolutely love my job. But in terms of why I wrote the children's book, it was really around, I did want a creative outlet that also was aligned with my purpose. And I truly feel that one of my purposes is really making the connection between STEM and underrepresented groups. And so I wrote the kids' book because I knew it would be a different channel. Early on, after I wrote the book, I toured around with it. I went to many schools. I would, be probably the first braided person that a lot of little kids would see in the Sudbury area. And I found it was a really good way of communicating and just really kind of inspiring the next generation. And to me, it really served as a huge creative outlet. But I just want to echo something Isabella was saying about the importance, you talk about being on boards and whatnot. And for me, I've actually found that very rewarding as well, like seeking mentorship and seeking networks and safe environments to learn and grow. And I think that has been a huge contributor to my own self-confidence as time has gone on.
But you started a conference of mining engagement conference for advancement with your brother. Is that part of, do you want to talk about that for a bit?
Yeah, something that I absolutely also am passionate about is I truly believe that I have this statement on my Twitter account. It says something like, if you take care of the people, then safety, innovation, and everything else follows. So the person I am believes that if you can really harness soft skills in any environment. So when I say soft skills, I'm talking about, and I'm sure you folks have experienced this in the workplace and boards, the ability of people to be self-aware, to grow their communication skills, to be able to have crucial conversations, to be able to work on confidence is very important. And I think that what I wanted to do in the mining industry is I wanted to bring higher awareness to the importance of self-development. And so through MECA, which is Mining Engagement Conference for Advancement, I initiated an idea that resulted in a successful symposium, which continues on to this day, which in the middle of launching for 2021. And really what we do is we bring soft skills to the mainstream in mining and just allow people a space to engage and to grow. And, the last conference, we had a session on resilience and communication skills. So that's kind of what MECA is all about. It's really about mining industry harnessing. We have a nice little catchphrase. It's a hashtag hard rock soft skills.
I really applaud that, especially during this time with a lot of people being virtual. And also because I think there's the assumption with a lot of STEM programs, it's all about brains and high marks and high scores, but you do need those soft skills. And for Isabelle, has that helped you with your businesses? Because I know you've received a lot of awards and recognition for a lot of your work as well.
Yes. How did the soft skills help me?
Yeah, soft skills, and if you wanted to add on to what Theresa was saying.
Yes. For my businesses, the one, because I founded a company before, I founded a startup, and what we were doing was helping businesses. So I need to find my words. Pardon my English. I'm a native French speaker, so words don't always come to my mind when I need them. So we will help the first startup I started, I co-founded the award-winning startup. What we did was we built an intelligent marketplace based on artificial intelligence to help businesses like exchange their overstock of materials, like surplus equipment, let me say the right word, surplus equipment, and so that they can save cost and also like have a better impact on the environment. And to comment on what Theresa was saying, like for me, being aligned with my purpose is really important, and helping empower people and also having a positive impact on everything around me. That's kind of my purpose. And that's what has been showing through my businesses and all of my involvement. And it is important to me that we help people, and I totally agree with what you said, Theresa. It's important to me that we help people leverage their full potential, because it's the spot where they're happy and where they contribute the best to the society around them. So I really applaud the initiatives you took, because it's important.
Thanks.
Yes. I know like several industries, especially this past year of with COVID and following the murder of George Floyd, a lot of companies are starting to look internally at especially issues of anti-Blackness within their career, within their workplace, and also within how they form. Do you, because even for myself, I actually see a change happening before, because it's unfortunate what happened to Mr. Floyd, but it's happened many times before. And I'm not sure if it's a mix of the American election or just being in COVID, that change is actually, I sense, on the horizon. How has the past year shaped your industry, and especially as Black women in these fields? Oh, Theresa, you could go first.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many times where I'm in different conversations with different people of different backgrounds, and we just talk about, this George effect, right? And what it is regardless of what happened in the past, as in, like you alluded to, there've certainly been other people whose lives have been cut short like in the same way. But something was different this time. And somebody told me, and I forget who it was either somebody who studied anthropology or psychology, and said there's something that happens that's like a tipping point, and I forget why, because somebody was saying like the reflection we need to do as society is to say, well, why now? What was the, what happened? And somebody said there's actually a way that psychologists and people who do that kind of study things can kind of explain why our society was primed for that moment, for that impact, right? But for me, I can certainly say yes. I've seen the mining industry definitely step up and come to the table full on. And you see this reflected in statements that have been put out by various organizations. You see that actually
beyond Black Square Tuesday.
Exactly. And you actually see the mobilization of employee resource groups. I know I was talking to somebody from a mining company out west, and they talked about a Black employees resource group. And you see people just really being upfront about where they stand on the issue. You see it in social media, you see it on LinkedIn, and companies, like really, like, Black History Month always existed, or say for the last, like, I think since 1995, it was something that was really promoted in Canada. And now you see companies saying, yeah, we do stuff, we do panels, we talk about it. And what I like about what I call what I'm saying is the George Floyd effect, is the benefits it's had on every single dimension of diversity. So if you think of LGBTQ, if you think of with the gender, the people with disabilities, neurodiverse individuals, I mean, this has just brought to the forefront that we need to be aware of differences, find ways of being inclusive to them, foster belonging. So yes, from my perspective, the mining industry certainly has played ball with the situation and are fully engaged and dancing with what's going on and participating. And
engaged.
It's been very, very inspiring to see. Yeah.
What about yourself, Isabelle?
In the tech industry, it's also the same thing. We have a lot more of these conversations about diversity, inclusion. I've seen a lot of job offers for diversity and inclusion officers, and that's awesome. And a lot of big tech companies have taken positions, strong positions, like in favor of diversity and inclusion. I only hope that this is not a seasonal effect.
Yes.
A branding thing. I just hope that we can have deep conversations like that will really make things change.
Yeah.
I guess what to add on to what you added, Isabelle, with jobs postings, this is not unique to engineering, but it's a lot of careers now following the George Floyd effect. A lot of people are looking to hire more diverse. What tips and advice would you give to your colleagues and the next generation of entering those firms, but also being mindful of tokenism and ensuring that if you do have a place at the table, you have a right to speak. You're not just there for presentations and to be toted around. I'm sure, so you could go ahead.
My feeling about it, so I have a strong feeling about that, in the sense that I approach it a little bit maybe different than other folks, in saying, I feel like it's incumbent on us, some of us who identify, for example, in this case, as Black people, Black women on this call, to really grow strong networks, to create strong pipelines. So what I mean by that is, if I look at, like, for example, Isabelle, entrepreneur, businesswoman, innovator, the question is, for me, it's always like, so who comes after you? Because let's be honest, right? We are a finite resource, right? If we're lucky, if anyone here is 30, I mean, if you're lucky, you have 70 more years, right? So what are you going to do for the next 70, right? So here's the question for me is, I guess the question for all of us, we should be self-reflecting, is how are we creating a pipeline of strong people who are ready to sit at tables? Because if we don't create, and even more important, I feel like we need to make sure we're doing the growth work to be able to sit at those tables, to be able to rise to positions of more influence, so that tokenism gets drowned out. Because the problem with tokenism, it's like somebody saying to you, have you experienced racism ever? Well, I don't know. It's hard to answer that directly, because probably sometimes I have, but did I think it was it or wasn't it? So same thing with tokenism. People will be hired, but are you a token or you're not? I mean, that's always going to be up for the jury to decide. So what it is, we need strong performances. We need strong performers. We need people who, have earned the seat at the table, who will know when they're being called a token. But how will they know? Well, it's through these situations where we create mentorship opportunities for all generations, so that we can be the strong leaders and understand who we are in a company and have eyes wide open. So that's one thing that I'm a proponent on, is, are we creating enough, like Isabelle, are we creating enough momentum that even Isabelle has a strong mentor, who's mentoring her, so she can be that strong mentor for the next generation. Yeah, Isabelle?
I totally agree with you. We really need to think forward and leave something for the next generation. The way I see it is that even if it's even if you're tokenized, it's still an opportunity to do something. And the first thing we can do is to understand how it works. Like usually we're not even at the table. We don't even know there's a table. Now I can be at the table and say, okay, there's a table that 12 people around the table. It's a white table, it's a black table. I can understand how it works, and I can leave that knowledge to the next people so that they can act on it. So it's still an opportunity, and we need to take these opportunities and act on them. And as Theresa said, make sure we pass it to the next generation.
Thank you, Isabelle and Theresa. What I appreciate about both of you is also building your own tables and not waiting for that seat there and charting your own path. And also, as Theresa said, the importance of building that pipeline. And you guys are inspiring women, you're inspiring Canadians, you're inspiring Black women. So it's not you guys carry inspiring engineers, you guys carry many different hats. And so I applaud both of you with that. Any final remarks, Theresa, that you wanted to add to this conversation?
Yeah, I think one of my final remarks is, you know, and maybe again, no, say the George effect. Mm-hmm. For me, it's very clear that doors have been opened for us, and it doesn't, you know. And Isabelle coming from Cameroon, myself from Zimbabwe. Even if you look at probably the history of the countries where we came from, the fact that we could one day catch a plane, go overseas, probably that itself was a bunch of people sacrificing and to make it so we could do that. So at the end of the day, I really believe in what Michelle Obama emphasizes, is just the beauty of reaching back. If we can all continue to reach back, I feel like this is the magic, that magic quotient we have in our toolbox. And reaching back has nothing to do with how much money you have, how much degrees you have. It's about understanding your little area of excellence that you can impart to the next person. Just real quick, this reminds me of a program that was somebody was talking about a program that they heard about at a church, and it was something to do with like, they called it maybe apples, I don't know, for a reason. And what it was older women who took it upon themselves to mentor young mothers. And it was just that the giving of information. So I just think wherever you are in society, understand your worth, and then figure out how you can give back and reach back and pull some people behind you as you go. All right. Yeah.
Closing remarks for you, Isabelle?
Yes, there's one thing I'd like to stress is that whatever we want our future to be, our children to become tomorrow, we need to start when they're young. And that's why I love so much that we wrote a kids book, a children's book. It's because we need to get them exposed to different career choices, exposed to science like day camps, museums. We need to have community support so that our children are exposed to whatever we want them to become tomorrow. And it's important to work on that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And this platform is a great opportunity to show our faces too, because I think oftentimes you hear these careers and you see our work, but you don't see the faces behind it. So just by being present and being visible, you guys continue to inspire and to shape your current generation, your current peers, and your current communities, and to represent them beautifully.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining today. And thank you to 100 Accomplished Black Canadian Women for giving us this platform to discuss this important topic and to highlight and celebrate and all your accomplishments. And absolutely read both Isabelle and Theresa's bios. We can do an hour each on going over each of your involvements and accomplishments and recognitions as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Theresa.
Look how far you have come on your own, but never alone. Through the rain and through the shine, here's your moment, it's your time. Used stood tall and now you see, standing in your destiny. 100 woman growing strong. 100 woman where you belong. You stood tall and now you see, you have reached your destiny. Woman